Good morning. Welcome to SEC Basketball Talk here at Southeastern 16. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Blake Lovell, and back from the dead, America's favorite YouTube personality, Max Barr.
He was back yesterday.
He's
what
still
happened?
back from the dead.
Still back.
Max died this
gracious.
weekend and came back
Oh
to
my
life.
goodness! What is wrong with you?
Max, were you not that close? I mean, you were right there,
You're
weren't
just
you?
so
It could have gone either way.
morbid.
Yeah.
But we got
Welcome in, everybody.
It's the Sweet 16, and you've started multiple days here with this nonsense. Unbelievable.
Well, let me tell you, we're going to bring life into Ole Miss. We're going to bring life to Kentucky or Tennessee. Not both, because they play each other. We're going to bring life to Auburn, to Florida, to Alabama, whoever else needs it.
Well,
all kidding
you
aside,
two aren't.
we're glad to be
You
here.
two aren't bringing life to Arkansas. I heard that yesterday on Twitter.
That was the
That
thing
much I
yesterday
know.
on Twitter.
I picked the Hogs against the Johnnies,
Yeah.
and I get destroyed. It's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the time we're in. This is March.
Wow.
This is the time to be passionate, maybe overly passionate. Is there such a thing? I don't think so.
No.
Let's rock and roll.
Oh, guess what? That Tennessee-Kentucky pick. I hope you know where you're going on that one, because proceed with caution on your picks for that game. Unbelievable. I really was. I went back and watched the two prediction videos we did. By the way, they're preview videos. We just happened to add a prediction at the end. Let's call them preview videos, all right? The preview is way more important than the prediction. But I went back and watched them. The number of times both of us, or any of us, really, I think it was all three of us at one point. Max and I definitely said it. Like, the number of times we use the phrase, like, no way I can pick against Tennessee. Like, there's no way I can pick against Tennessee in this spot. And it's like, we know what happened. So it's just like, oh, man. It's going to be an all-timer coming up today in a couple hours. We're going to record that one right after this. So you still have time to get your bribes in and all that for that preview video.
What time are we recording that?
Right after this.
Okay, so about maybe 9:15.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I just checked my calendar. I got a headache planned for 9:15 today.
Yeah.
Debilitating
getting
headache.
out of
Might
this
not be
one.
able to go.
I'll tell you, I don't care what you got on the slate. You're not getting out of this prediction video. No one is sneaking out of this one. So we're all in this together on Tennessee, Kentucky. So, all right. Let's talk about the Hogs, though. Got some big news. Big news coming on the Hogs. How about that, Max?
Yep, big time. We have, okay, so if you didn't watch the clip on the Pat McAfee show where Cal released the news, there's a few different developments before we even get into the news. One, Cal said Thiero. Not Thiero.
Not again.
I know. They are playing games with us at this point. Which one is it? I'm going back to Thiero now. If that's what Calipari said, I'm going back. Yep. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Like Michael Scott in The Office. The other thing was Pat McAfee had no clue who the players were. He was just acting like he was like, oh, wow. Okay.
Not a shock.
Okay, yeah, they're back. He had no clue who Adou was. He had no clue who Boogie was. It was funny. But, yeah, Adou Thiero back, and I forget the exact time, like the rough time slot he gave for the amount of minutes Adou Thiero is going to be playing. Thiero, geez, this is going to be brutal. But I think it's going to be about like 15, 20 minutes, somewhere around there. But, yeah, big-time news, guys. Big-time news. Changes everything. Do we change our picks now? Do we change our picks? Are we able to? Are we allowed to?
I don't have to change my pick.
I have a footnote here. And credit, I don't remember if it was Gary Parrish or Matt Norlander. I was listening to those guys a little bit this morning. One of them brought up the point that when they brought Boogie Flan back, he was supposed to be limited to 15 minutes or whatever they said. He played 36.
Yeah.
So
I think he's gonna be ready. He's gonna be ready to go, and especially in a big time matchup where now see this changes things. If I could change my pick, I would like to put in that I would like to put that into the committee because I think this changes everything big time where Texas Tech now has another monster to deal with Darrion Williams and JT Toppin. This is a game changer. This is an absolute game changer to this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about it in the preview. It was like one of those where, who was going to be available was going to be a big part of how this game could play out. And that's why I think this does seem to be one of those games in this round that has the most variety of outcomes just in terms of the way the game is played. Like, I think, because again, if you're talking about these two guys and the availability and all that, it certainly impacts what happens here in this matchup.
Tell me if I'm overreacting.
You're overreacting.
Okay, well, I was going to say.
Well, you asked me to tell you you're overreacting, so I did, and you probably are. But continue, anyways.
Note to
what do you got?
Watch the phrasing. They are the biggest wild card left in the tournament, hands down.
Who? Arkansas?
Arkansas. I mean,
Well, yeah.
is there even a close second?
I mean, they're the 10th seed, so I think it's fair to use that for them. Yeah.
With how they're playing right now, though, you got to think. And I originally picked Tech to win this game, formally switching my pick. But you got to think with how they're playing right now and just wondering if McMillan is playing for Texas Tech. That's their sharpshooter. Actually has a top 10 offensive rating in the nation. He is huge for this team's spacing. McCaslin is really, he keeps it close to his chest with what he tells the media, but he said that everyone's practicing. That was yesterday. And McMillan didn't practice the week before. So if I had to put a fantasy football injury report tag on him, I would probably call him questionable. And he would probably have the projected points still there. You know what I'm talking about, Blake? The questionable, but he still got his projected points. You think he's probably going to play. But yeah, that's huge for Texas Tech's spacing.
I think I know the answer to this question. I'm just asking to make sure I'm right. We don't have the same injury reporting for the NCAA tournament that the SEC was requiring. Yeah.
No.
And good for the SEC for doing that, by the way.
Yeah, it's weird not having the reports the night before now after we just had them all season. You don't know what to expect. But yeah, I would expect him to play. I'd be probably surprised if he didn't give it a go. McMillan, that is.
All right. So shout out to the chat. Up early this morning. Taylor's saying, why are you making me wake up so early? We are going a little early this week because we do have the prediction videos to do, yesterday and today. So that's why we start a little bit early. The schedule the rest of the week, probably no live stream tomorrow morning because we're going to let the previews sort of just sit and get ready for the games tomorrow night. Obviously, we'll do the reaction tomorrow night. And we'll see if we're doing the reaction after the Hogs at 12:30 a.m. or 1 a.m. Eastern tomorrow night, Friday morning, whatever. It all runs together these days. So that's kind of our plan when it comes to the schedule for the next couple of days. So, yeah, check out the preview videos we've already put up for the Thursday games. Those are all up. As you know, Alabama, BYU, Florida, Maryland, and Arkansas, Texas Tech. And also the ones coming up for Friday's games will be up here in a couple hours. So that is the plan. So there you go. There's your programming update.
Are there any other availability situations we're watching across the Sweet 16 landscape?
Not in that game. I don't think there's any major.
It's a minor one, but what about Chris Moore at Auburn? Did he go there last game?
I haven't seen anything on that. I also haven't looked it up.
I mean, he's their 9th or 10th guy.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Michigan, you got some beef there to contend with. That, I mean, he could be a guy that plays a a bit role.
I thought someone said a few days ago that he was. Maybe I'm just.
I see. I think that's right. I have this vague memory of him being okay, but so much basketball and stuff has happened that I don't. You know.
It was an ankle, so I mean, you tell us, Dr. Lee.
Well, Auburn ankles seem to be indestructible, so I'm going Chris Moore is going to be fine.
Okay. You heard it here first.
He'll be good to go.
You heard it here.
All right. Yeah. All right. What else we got? You guys jump in the chats. We're gonna Big Baller Brett is here and really scared of BYU.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I've been talking about this game a lot this week, and there've been some people who are like, "Come on, are you kidding me? Alabama's gonna roll." I'm like, well, it's Alabama. They could come out and win 115-98, and I mean, it's just what they're capable of. And I'm never going to count out Alabama against anyone just because they're so good offensively. But what happens if they're not hitting threes? What happens if BYU's hitting their threes? Like, you could say that about anybody, but BYU just has more of a high-powered offense. And we've seen Alabama play some of these games this year when it comes to – by the way, I didn't mean that. I know someone's going to take it the wrong way. I'm not saying BYU's more high-powered than Alabama. Just they're one of those teams with the way they're built. You know, we've seen Alabama play some games, like the Auburn one the first time, the Missouri one, the Florida games, like those kind of scenarios. So they're really good. And, you know, someone asked me again this morning, like, which SEC Sweet 16 matchup worries you the most? I said, well, it's probably Alabama, BYU. Even though I think Alabama's going to win, we picked Alabama. But I just think, again, when you have two very high-scoring teams, I do feel like there's a little more variance there in terms of how the game can play out, because one of them could just go on, 15-0 run in, 30 seconds, it feels like, and all of a sudden the game just completely flips. So, but Bama's much better defensively. Let's not kid ourselves on that. So,
on the scale of 1 to 10 of Blake level appeal to watch this one, that's got to be like at least a 9.5 for you, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I ranked it second behind Kentucky. If we didn't have a SEC on SEC Sweet 16 matchup, Alabama BYU was far and away the number one spot.
Yes.
In the game rankings we did yesterday. So, yeah, absolutely. I don't care about defense. Just come on. Actually, I do care about defense. You know what? I do. I do.
I think this matchup sets up well for Alabama. I feel like I should be more worried, but this is just one that I think BYU's defense just walks right into a brutal matchup against Alabama's offense with the way that BYU gives up so many 3-point attempts. They give up so many. I think Bama wins this one pretty. I'm going to take the spread myself. You could make it 5.5, 4.5, 6.5. I don't care. I'm taking that. I think it's a great matchup. Could come back to bite me. Probably will, but I like it.
By the way, people keep telling me the defense wins championships. I see Unbiased Brim there in the comments saying, you know what? It's all about the defense. Well, while I've been looking here, the last 4 teams to win the national championship have been better offensive teams than defensive teams. I'm all in on that stat. So, but of course they were also like top 10 defensive teams too. But we don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about they were a little bit better in the efficiency numbers than they were defensively. So
there's a development with the offensive efficiency. You know how we've been tracking if Auburn was going to finish with the best ever, better than Wisconsin's 2015 offense in KenPom. Well, Duke, I know we don't want to hear this, but Duke has just blasted through, and Duke now has the best offensive rating in KenPom history. If that just to put a picture on how, because you said yesterday Duke's the team to beat. Like,
all right, so humor me for just a second here, okay? Let's play this game in real time. All right, okay. Defending national champion UConn. They were the number one offensive team in offensive efficiency last year, national champions, right? Okay, Let's keep going.
All right.
UConn the year before, they finished 3rd in offensive efficiency. Okay, let's go back to 2022. Who was the national champion? Kansas. They finished 6th in offensive efficiency. All right, so far, 6 is the lowest number we've seen. 2021, the Baylor year, they finished 2nd in offensive efficiency. All right, there was no tournament in 2020. 2019, Virginia finished 2nd in offensive efficiency, national championship. 2018, Villanova finished 1st in offensive efficiency, national champions. North Carolina, 2017, finished 9th in offensive efficiency, national championship. 2016, Villanova, 3rd in offensive efficiency, national championship. 2015, Duke, 3rd in offensive efficiency, national championship. You see a theme here where I'm just saying, yes, all these teams, when you look at their numbers, they're really good defensively. And the outlier is actually UConn in 2014. They were 39th in offensive efficiency, but defense won them a championship that year. But it's the combination of both. You need to have both, but all I'm saying is you got to be able to score the basketball. And so I'm all in on the offensive teams, and yeah, so we'll see. Oh, and by the way, Spencer, no, I did not account for the double dribble that was called. So if we go back and let's say we want to crown Auburn as the national champion that year, the Tigers were 6th in offensive efficiency. So therefore, we should just go ahead and give it to them. I mean, they meet the criteria. So there you go.
You know, this Elite Eight has a chance, and we can also get to some Elite Eight record talks that may be broken. Right now, the top 8 teams in KenPom are still alive. If Duke, Houston, Florida, and Auburn, if the 4-1 seeds win, the 3 remaining 2 seeds, Tennessee, Alabama, and Michigan State, if they win, and then Texas Tech. If those 8 teams win, it would be the first time ever since 1997 that the Elite Eight featured KenPom's top 8, like quite literally the Elite Eight, like the most Elite 8 teams in the analytics would be the actual Elite Eight, which it could be the most competitive, most high level Elite Eight in history. I mean, this could be awesome. I know we don't have the mid-major Cinderella that'll get pounded by 25 in the Final Four or Elite Eight, but sign me up for this, guys. This could be the highest level Elite Eight in the history of the tournament. This is awesome.
I have a thought.
Let me hear it.
I wonder, because like predictive metrics, like 20 years ago, like we didn't know what they were for the most part. Or I mean, that's an exaggeration, but like KenPom didn't start to get mainstream till what, Blake, a decade ago, maybe a little longer back than that.
Yeah, a little bit. Not much further back, probably though.
Here's what I'm going. Like, is this it's sort of a chicken or the egg thing here? Like, are the top teams just getting to the top because they're the top teams, or was there a little bit of because these teams were also around these places pre-tournament, and they got seeded pretty close to where they've been in KenPom. Like, does that now get baked in? Like, nobody was talking about that 20 years ago. You looked at RPI, that was the end-all be-all. Your RPI was six. That makes you a 2 seed probably, and so on. And RPI is very flawed. Now that this is a thing, the better seed you get, obviously, the easier your slate's going to be. I'd be fascinated to know, like, if you could go back and somehow reseed this tournament with the way we used to do things and the ignorance that went with all that. Like, would it have looked differently because some of these teams would have gotten a tougher draw somewhere? Or is it just the best teams won out and they were going to win out anyway? Does that make any sense?
A little bit.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it didn't. Max was being nice.
I'm a little lost.
I just wanted to see what Max said. That's always, I can see the wheels going over there, and I'm like, what does Max think about this? I see what you're saying, though. I understand part of the equation there in terms of like, but I do think it's just like this has not been the norm in terms of how this has played out this year. Like this is not usually the way it works in the NCAA tournament. But as we may have talked about yesterday, I don't remember, but like I do think this is going to be at times the way it looks a lot more going forward, just because of all the reasons we mentioned.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like you said, if you look at the KenPom numbers and you see just how glaring it is, how many of these teams are still left, like sure, like there are different ways you could do it in terms of resetting the draw and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's just been one of those seasons, and I mean, again, Max pointed out coming into it, especially with the top seeds, like we should have expected this. Like, even though they had some close calls, like we should have expected it with these teams. So,
I mean, this also kind of happens like once a decade, doesn't it? We get one of these kind of boring tournaments where all the chalk advances for the most part. And maybe it's just that, but I do think money in NIL has had a big piece in what we're seeing here. Sorry, let me let this guy out of here.
oh my!
I've seen that. I wanted to bring this up, Blake. I wanted to bring it up today. Like all the discourse of is the tournament. You had the Stephen A. quote. The tournament's dead. All this stuff.
That's all I need to know. That the tournament is
ratings are up, are they not?
I think people are just getting caught up with like how elite the top teams are this year. But what if we had this conversation 2 years ago when it was 9 seed Florida Atlantic in the Final Four against 5 seed San Diego State? And we're saying with NIL now and given these mid-majors the two-way street of, yeah, they're going to lose players, but they're also going to get the high major rejects, and they'll get the top D2 guys like Bennett Sturtz and other guys that made huge impacts first year off of D2, JUCO, whatever it is, like two-way street. The portal can help you or it can hurt you. We're going to start seeing teams like FAU who put these teams together, San Diego State who can build a program and then add a Micah Parrish, add a Darrion Trammell, a transfer. So I don't really agree with the whole like NIL only helps the top. I think it's a two-way street, and teams like Arkansas State this year that were loaded with high major talent, they didn't make the tournament, but I think it's a two-way street.
I'm going to send you guys a tweet in the chat here.
Oh.
And I meant to send this to you last night, but I was like, y'all, I don't want to wake anybody with this. But
I'm sure it's the right tweet.
Well, it will be. See if you guys get this in the private chat, because I think this is interesting too. Also, might play a little guessing game to see who's who here. If you guys,
oh boy, true false. Here we go.
Blake, you weren't a big pop quiz guy in school, were you?
I was not a big school guy. You know, I cheated my way through every grade. Okay, so
what
am I looking at here?
See if you can pull up the tweet.
I see it, but what give me the context of what this means.
It is starting fives for every team in the Sweet 16 based on where each player started his career.
Okay,
it's interesting.
All right, let me pull it up. There you go. Can you see that?
Yep.
All righty.
So, where every Sweet 16 team starting five began playing college basketball, and try to figure out which teams are which. Okay, I see it now. Interesting. Yeah, I mean it's kind of fascinating. I'm gonna take a guess on one of them. Can I do that? The one that has 4 Michigan State, I'm gonna go Michigan State. Purdue, the one that has all 5 Purdue, I'm gonna go Purdue. The one that has 4 Duke, I'm gonna go Duke on that one. The one that has 3 BYU, I'm going BYU. The 2 Tennessee is Tennessee because I see Ohio State there. Felix came from Ohio State. Yeah, the rest of them are interesting. Maryland's
okay,
2,
second one from the left. That's Yale, North Texas.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Vlad Golden started
Trey
at Tech,
Donaldson. Trey Donaldson. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Third one from the left is Ole Miss, right?
Yep. Malik Dia to
Michigan
Vanderbilt.
State. Yep. That one is Florida. Fifth from the left. Next one is Maryland.
Texas Tech.
Who's the logo at the top?
Well, the audio listeners right now are just thinking, what are these guys looking at?
That's why you subscribe on YouTube.
Apologies, audio listeners.
Far right top row's got to be Arkansas.
Yep.
Then
look at Cyan James.
All right.
Okay. Blake's over it. He does not like pop quizzes.
I just know we have a lot of people who listen on audio, and they are not seeing this at all and have no idea what we're talking about. So I don't want to ruin the experience for them. But no,
the tweets by who? If people want to look this up that are listening.
I mean,
NCAA buzzer beaters and game winners is the name. Darren Lovell retweeted it. Okay, that's what
there you go.
So if you're listening and want to see what we're talking about, go check it out. It's interesting.
There you go.
Nice.
Also, there was the article this morning from Ross Dellinger, Yahoo. Did a big article on the revenue sharing changes and how it's going to help Cinderella in the future. And I'm going to read you a quote that I think was interesting. Basically, the thought is that, some of these other schools are going to be able to outspend because they don't really have a cap or whatever when it comes to just how much money can go into this. And so the Big East is the big focus of this. Like, the Big East is all about, we're all in on basketball. We're going to spend $1 gazillion. And, that's kind of their thinking. So to go a little bit further into the SEC reaction to that, here's some of the reactions from SEC people when it comes to this. And I'll drop the link. Well, we'll figure out a way to get the link to you. Just go to Yahoo Sports. It'll be the first thing you see there. Or go to Ross Dellinger on Twitter. No one wants to go backwards, said one SEC school administrator. We're having to front load now and get creative with new sources of revenue. So, again, they're talking about basically without circumventing the cap, the figure is going to drop significantly next year. So I think that's kind of the thought here is, this is so, isn't it just wild we're talking about this? So here's one of the big quotes, and this is the one I see a lot of people clipping out there. So the paragraph says, how will Power League basketball programs compete with the Big East spending in year 2 and beyond? Quote, it's a problem, said one SEC athletic director. Villanova and St. John's can pour $10 million into basketball if they want. The SEC isn't going to be able to do that because we cannot sacrifice the cash cow of football. And the next paragraph, in a twist of irony, the very thing Power Conference leaders designed, this new cap-based enforcement arm to police the booster deals, now stands in the way. So, I mean, it's interesting to think about. But
I might buy some of it. I don't buy all of it. I'm not sure I buy all of it. I mean, first of all, here's what you've got coming this year, and this was easy to see from you have an uncapped year coming. Because revenue share is going to kick in, June the 1st, July the 1st, whatever. And until then, you have nothing that is keeping guys from getting paid. If you want to pay your roster $100 million next year and then add revenue share on top of it, you can do it. I don't think this affects anything in the well, I won't say it won't have any effect because of the reasons you just said, but you wait and see. The big programs will get around this year. Now, next year may be a different story.
I mean, Cinderella of the tournament right now has the most expensive, tab there is. So it's like, it's just kind of, it's just a wild thing. But, Chris, too many numbers for me when it comes to this. Too many regulations, too many numbers. I just prefer the Wild West approach, Just let everybody go out and do what they want.
See, I think you're going to get that for a while longer. I don't think – somebody pointed this out to me. And by the way, I'm going to read you a text that I got last night just for a little more a sidebar on this. Nothing has been collectively bargained. Like, I don't know how you're going to be able to stop NIL going forward because nobody's agreed to anything.
No.
Now, it may be more legitimized where, say Cooper Flagg's got to deal with Adidas or Nike or whoever that does not depend on Duke. But I will promise you there will be a way for, I'm just going to throw this out there, it's just the first one that comes to mind. If Jim Haslam at Pilot wants to have Tennessee guys endorsing their stuff and pay them whatever, I'm not quite sure how you stop that. And again, that is not a criticism of anybody. It's just an example. Like, how do you, I mean, let's take that to court and see where that goes.
Oh, if it goes to court, you are on the court beat. Because if you put Max Barr and I in the courtroom on the beat for that one, who knows what you're going to get. So, yeah.
I'm going to read you a text I got.
Oh, I thought you already read it.
No. This is different.
Oh, man, you get a lot of texts. You're very popular.
I do. This is a guy that's connected in the industry. Been on the phone with the West Coast coach tonight. The numbers that are being thrown around are requested. This is for NIL. From average players is crazy. I think School X is going to need $6.5 to $8 million to replicate this year's roster even more. Another text. One story told to me tonight. Kids are just walking in and asking for prices to go up 20% each time a kid asks this week, and his school is saying, let us go and see what we can get. It's wild.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's about what we expected, I think. That's how it works. So, I mean, yeah, it's just going to keep going. Yeah, I mean, here you go. Wes Nashdor, the legend himself. He never stopped the endorsements. So,
I got a quote from Brian Dutcher, San Diego State head coach. And if you're familiar with the Mountain West right now, the Mountain West is just getting eviscerated. Donovan Dent's out of there. Magoon Guath is out of there. Nick Boyd's out of there. The Mountain West is just getting crushed right now by the portal.
Did he text you, Max?
No, he actually FaceTimed me. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I got a FaceTime.
Awesome.
Glad you're alive to get that.
But
Jeez.
Nick Boyd left San Diego State. He was on the FAU Final Four team. But then if you're not familiar with Magoon Guath, freshman of the year, Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year, 7-footer that can shoot threes. He's incredible. I want to see him in the SEC. But Dutcher said this. He said, I like all the kids we have in our program. I like Nick. I like Magoon. I wish them all the best. There's no ill will. It's a new world, and financially there's a lot of money out there. It's like a guy comes up in a corporation. You bring him on as an intern. He develops and turns into a really good employee, and then he leaves for a better job for more money. How can you be mad at the guy? Yeah, you developed him, but he's good at what he does, and now he stepped out and he decides he wants to do something financially. I think that's a great perspective on it from Dutch, and I don't know how he's got that calm and wise of a perspective after his whole team, not his whole team, but his best guys have gone, and he's got that perspective. I love Coach Dutch, but that's happening in the Mountain West right now.
Yeah.
I've got a guess. Remember what started all these dominoes 7-8 years ago or whenever it was? It was the whole, well, coaches can leave anytime and players can't.
Mm.
And then you add the money element to it, and this is where we are. So, like, if you're a coach saying that, unless you're just principled and willing to stay somewhere, and even the guys that stay places, they're going to leverage something else. That's why you can say it.
Yeah. All right.
Shane is late to the party. Cannot believe that the job is making him miss Southeastern 16 live shows. I agree. Come on, doesn't everyone? I mean, should be like a Sweet 16 week. Should be another holiday, I think, if the SEC gets 7 teams in. That's how it should work. Yeah. Now, we're not going to suggest what Spencer suggests in the comments. We're not going to suggest that Shane quit his job. We are not responsible for that. But Spencer says it seems like the only option here. All right, let's get to a couple things from earlier. We had a $2 super chat from Colts for Super Bowl, which for some reason I can't find now, but I know we had it earlier.
There it is.
There it is. Tennessee doesn't do well at Lucas Oil Stadium. By the way, here's Kentucky fans, close your ears, because BigBlueHistory.net, always my go-to resource when I'm looking up Kentucky's history against other teams and all this kind of stuff. Tremendous website. Some of you guys brought this up whenever we did one of the shows yesterday, the day before. Kentucky's recent history this is an entire page on the website. Kentucky in the Indianapolis metro area. Not just in one building, not just in one arena. In the entire metro area. It has every result that Kentucky has ever played in the metro area. Whether at Butler Fieldhouse, the Hoosier Dome, the RCA Dome, Lucas Oil, Bankers Life, Gainbridge. Man, that's just sound like a bunch of bands there. But it has everything, right? So, Kentucky's going to have to try to break the streak here. Because, again, Kentucky fans, close your ears. You know what it is, but I'm just going to read it off for people who don't know. 2022, Michigan State, double overtime, lost, 86-77. 2022, the person who shall not be named, 85-79, loss in overtime. We shall not name that team here on this show. 2020, Kansas, 65-62, loss at Bankers Life in the Champions Classic. 2018, 118-84, lost to Duke, Bankers Life, Champions Classic. We won't go back to 2015. They won a couple games in between there. They beat Wichita State and beat Northern Kentucky in 2017. But we won't go back to what happened in 2015. But again, it's like that recent history there. Kind of interesting. Tennessee also not doing so well there. Something's got to give. Hey, Michael, I did not talk about whatever that is you just mentioned there. I did not say that at all. I just said, I didn't say it. So Tennessee's having issues. Kentucky's having issues. I say we play this game somewhere else. So we petition to move this elsewhere. Let's play it in Nashville. Can we do that?
Yeah.
So,
Kentucky is coming here in December, right?
Playing the Zags. How about that?
Yeah, we should be there for that.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
How many different venues has Kentucky played at in the greater Indianapolis era?
Well, the ones I mentioned earlier. Butler Fieldhouse, Hoosier Dome, RCA Dome, Lucas Oil, Bankers Life, Greenbridge. They've been to all of them.
How many of those were the same place, just renamed?
That I don't know.
Okay.
So, I don't know that answer. I don't know it at all. All right, we're going to speed up a little bit here because we got to get to these prediction videos. You guys are waiting on it. You want to see what we're going to do, who we're going to pick. You're going to find out in a couple hours. Dylan with a $2 super chat. We appreciate it. It just means more to Dylan. No doubt about it. So, okay, let's get to so Torius earlier said, did he miss the Kentucky talk? Praying you didn't miss the Kentucky talk. Well, we haven't talked a ton about Kentucky in this video other than just the terrible history that I just gave you in Indianapolis. But we are about to talk about Kentucky for a little bit. You're going to get the preview video. It's coming up. And so don't worry. We talked a lot about the Cats the past couple days, and we'll talk about them here soon. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, what else we got here? Bullgator asks, how is it Maryland defends so well without fouling? Believed Florida could get an upper hand by grabbing the crab 5 in foul trouble, but Florida Basketball Hour points out they're rarely called. Is it technique? It's probably got something to do with it. But I did bring up the stat yesterday. I think it's going to be put to the test in this game because I do think Florida's the kind of team that can really draw fouls based on their rebounding potential. But I don't know.
Julian Reese has slowly gotten better throughout his whole career at defending without fouling. Yeah. If you look at his fouls committed per 40 minutes, freshman year till senior year right now, it goes 6, 4.9, 3.6, 3.7. So the past 2 years when he got put into much higher of a role starting every game, he started defending without fouling a lot better. And Derek Queen is fantastic at it. I think also, though, they got to know. I mean, it's the crab 5. It's not the crab 6. It's not the crab 7. It's not the crab 8. It's crab 5. So they definitely got to know that they can't get in foul trouble or it's a big impact to the team because they don't have the depth.
That's the best basketball nickname in a while. The Crab Five. I like it.
Seen it in multiple places. I mean, look, hey, no need to spare his feelings here. DJ Duvernay here. Everybody betting one way, but in all honesty, do you think Maryland has a shot at knocking off Florida? Yeah, I mean, I think they've got a shot. I mean, I feel like when we started the tournament, we said it was a potentially interesting matchup. I just think the more I look at it on paper, though, and they don't play the games on paper, we always use that caveat, it does seem like a good matchup for Florida. But we'll see. Florida had to play better than they did overall against UConn to beat Maryland. So,
got a quick stat for you.
Yeah.
It's from Brian Dutcher via FaceTime.
I think Max froze.
He froze. I think Brian Dutcher called him on FaceTime. I think that's what happened.
Probably.
He's giving him an updated stat.
There we go. All right. Didn't want to hear my stat. Jeez. Where'd I cut off there?
Your face was just frozen and you were pondering something.
Well,
the last week.
Here you go. Favorites of 6 points or more are 26-2 this tournament, straight up.
Wow.
Only
6 points? You said 6? Okay.
Favorites of 6 or more are 26-2, straight up this year. Big Sweet 16 that applies to Duke, Auburn, Houston, and Florida.
Huh, what do you know? Shocker.
Who were the losers? Who were the two losers?
That were a 6-point favorite.
Missouri.
Oh yeah,
Missouri, and then we gotta find this.
Who was the other one? Who was the first round upset? What was Clemson over McNeese?
Was Iowa State a 6-point favorite over Ole Miss?
Clemson McNeese.
McNeese.
That's
the
Clemson
one.
McNeese, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So
hold on a second. We got something big to get to, but before we get to that, we're going to finish this show unlike any finish we've ever had to a show. Before we get to it, though, let's get a couple more things. Big Baller Brett saying Alabama had a done deal 2 days ago and just committed to St. John's. Yeah, what was he got? Yeah. So,
he had an O rating of 88 in Big 12 play. He's a decent shot maker, but there's better fish out there.
Better fish in the sea, says Max Barr.
Can you get on the floor with an 88 rating at Alabama?
I mean, Arizona State wasn't good, so maybe St. John's could really use his shot making, so I think it's a good fit. But there's better fish out there.
All right, the Holy Emu here. Any thoughts on Auburn's odds to win or make the Final Four? I mean, I think where are they at right now in the odds? Are they still second or are they third behind Duke and they're third behind Duke and Florida, aren't they? In terms of making the national or winning the national championship right now, I think that's the updated one. Yeah. So, I mean, I still think it's going to be interesting because again, if you play the two Big Ten teams, play Michigan and Michigan State, I mean, they're gonna battle you inside a little bit, and I think it's just the defensive element, especially if you look at Michigan State. I think they're just, I don't know, but they're interesting matchups. So, get Ole Miss again, beating Ole Miss 3 times. So, Auburn still got a good shot to get there, but not going to be easy games. All right. Okay, we're going to wrap up. And you know what we're going to do for the first time ever? Southeastern 16 was started 4 years ago. And this is the first time in the history of this channel that we're about to do this. Everyone keep your clothes on. But here's what we're about to do. Okay? Because little did we know, there was a chat that came in 3 minutes ago that revealed some very interesting information to us. And that is that it is the birthday of the one and only Mother Carol. Starting off the birthday the best way ever. Appreciate us chat members. And blessed to have the chat members in Mother Carol's life. So you know what we're going to do for the first time? You can all join in at home if you like. If you're at work, like Shane, I don't know if I'd suggest it. They may look at you and say, why is this guy singing happy birthday? But if you're somewhere where you can sing happy birthday, I think you should right now. I think we should all sing happy birthday to Mother Carol. What do we think, chat? Do you think we should all sing happy birthday to Mother Carol? And by the way, Gavin, real quick before we get into that, need to make predictions on the live stream. Are you kidding me, Gavin? There is not a chance in the world we're making the predictions on a live show. Holy cow. Could you imagine the comment section with that? I'm just messing with you. I know Gavin's a Tennessee fan. We'll see if Gavin likes our picks coming up here. All right, here we go. Happy birthday to
you.
Chris, are you not singing?
You don't want to hear that.
Oh, come on, Max. Here we go.
Nice.
There we go,
the
Max. Me and you.
balloons,
Let's go.
and it won't
3,
work.
Warming up
2,
the pipes.
1. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mother Carol. Happy birthday to you. Well done, guys. First time ever. Incredible.
Blake, do the two fingers is the balloon thing. We found that out the hard way.
Is it?
It's not working for me. Yeah.
I don't think that's true.
It was it not yesterday you were doing
Thumbs
the
up.
thumbs up and it was
That's the like,
What's
but I
going
don't know
on
what the
here?
balloon
There it is. There it is.
there, it does that.
I'm sorry. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
so there you go. Look at all the great stuff coming in.
That's supposed to do it.
Everybody wants. Of course, it was in sync. Like, of course, it was Big Baller Brett. Are you kidding me? So, oh my! All right, that was incredible. I thought that was easily some of the best work we've ever done on the show.
Good
But
stuff.
Gavin also says needs to hear our thoughts when we pick Kentucky, so the wife doesn't have to. So we'll see, Gavin. Now is the moment of truth. We're about to hop off the show here. We're going to go make our picks, and you will find out who we're picking in the biggest game of the year. So, for two fan bases. All right.
Fired up.
Ooh, let's go.
Picks coming your way. Hit the subscribe button, enable notifications if you haven't. That's all free. Yeah, we're doing 3 games this morning, so they'll be to you shortly. For Blake Lovell, Max Barr.
Hang on.
Oh, wait, we got one more thing, don't we?
Yeah, quickly, bracket bids. Check out the free pick'em contest. Some of you guys are in on that. I hope you're enjoying it. The Auction Draft League. I hope you're enjoying that as well. Again, we appreciate everything Bracket Bids has done to support the channel here throughout the stretch run of college basketball season. So be sure to download the Bracket Bids app today. Visit them at bracketbids.com. And as Chris said, we're headed to do the preview videos. But first, we got to stop. We actually picked up a gig at the local flea market. We're going to actually go do a few tunes. So maybe an encore. We'll find out. Depends on what the demand is. But, we're heading there now. So.
All right. For Max Barr, Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 16. Thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon.